Take two schools. One, a special school for children with complex, severe and profound learning difficulties. The other, a mainstream primary with 66 pupils on the SEN register. How can they work together to benefit both staff and pupils? Like all primary head teachers, Carolyn Banfield at St John's near Bath has many SEN pupils on roll. The school has 4 children with statements, and many more have as yet undiagnosed special needs.
There are children that fall between two stools, if you like, that actually perhaps haven't got clearly defined needs, haven't got a label attached to their need. And sometimes it does feel like we're still doing the same things in year 5 and year 6.
And we're seeing more children coming in at reception level with speech and language difficulties and behaviour problems in particular. And I would say that's over the last 3 years. But then we do have a policy of trying to identify pupils as early as possible.
With more and more special needs pupils on roll, Carolyn has developed a partnership with the local special school, Foss Way. David Gregory is the head teacher at Foss Way, which caters for children with complex and severe learning difficulties and autistic spectrum disorders.
I think it's almost a passion that we have here to be part of the local community of schools. And we recognise that we have, amongst our staff, there are skills which may not be available in the mainstream schools, and we want to share those skills.
David and his team at Foss Way are committed to working with mainstream colleagues and have developed an outreach programme to support St John's and other local primary schools with their SEN pupils.
Outreach, it's a state of mind which is where there's a desire to engage with the local community, to bring about an exchange of physical exchange, I suppose, of staff and children, but also of ideas, which creates another dynamic within the special school and the local community of schools.
Removing barriers to achievement was absolutely crystal clear that local authorities had a responsibility for identifying the needs of mainstream schools and the kind of support they needed, and then making sure those services were available. This doesn't mean to say the local authority had to provide the service itself, but it suggested it acted as a facilitator, and it commissioned services from the best providers. Removing barriers specifically said that local authorities must look at the expertise in special schools and unlock that to form part of their services.
With outreach firmly on the agenda, Foss Way has developed strategies for making the partnership with the mainstream work effectively.
Basically, there has to be a very clear understanding on both sides of what the respective roles and responsibilities are. The special school has got to be clear about what it can provide and what it can't provide, and the mainstream school has got to be quite clear about what it wants. And once you've established that, then you can move on.
I think it was David that first, the headmaster first kind of brought the thing up about this outreach thing and asked us if we'd like to go into other schools and use some of the experience we gained here to help some other children in some other classes. So a lot of us said yes.
There should be an inter-school agreement. We're not talking about volumes of paperwork here, but just when a special school starts working with a mainstream school, that they do have an agreement between them, which sets out, for instance, what the responsibilities are of the mainstream school to release staff so that they can actually talk to the special school staff. So it would cover all those little details.
One of the programmes offered by Foss Way is support from LSAs. Mike's been going down the road to St John's Primary School twice a week to help a pupil with ADHD.
The particular child that Mike comes for is a child that's had particular behavioural problems for a long time, and lots of strategies have been put into place. And whilst he's getting help, he is getting help whether Mike is there or not, his main problem probably was outside. And it was because of situations that occurred outside of the classroom that we thought, no, these are happening too many times. We've just got to have someone else.
At lunchtimes, Mike's been using his special school experience, as well as his unique status as a male TA in a primary school, to improve behaviour.
The male role model has been very positive.
very positive, and has actually given the child he works with specifically a lot of credibility. It has raised his profile in a very positive way.
It's giving us an opportunity to do things with that pupil and another group of pupils that we would never be able to do. For example, starting gardening projects and going out for picnics at lunchtime to develop social skills. So, and most of the ideas have come from Mike.
We talk to these children and find out what it is that they want and where they want to go and how they'd like to get there and what their issues are. And then give the teachers some stuff, hopefully, that they can do when we're not there. And even the children, I mean, just talking to them in the playground, you can get them to help each other as well, so. Sit. What's in that one?
St John's is making the most of Mike's expertise. He's not only supporting pupils in the playground, but he's working with small groups in the mainstream classroom too.
You know very well that that group of 6 are catered for. There is an adult that has specific training to help with special needs and can temper the way he speaks to the children. He can understand if the children's behavioural problems might get in the way of their learning. He's got so many skills at his disposal.
There you go. So if you put the chart title in there, all right? How are we doing? We deal with behaviours that other people haven't got a clue about, and we don't even realise we do it. We do it on a daily basis, and we don't realise until we go into a mainstream school, just how many of these things we're dealing with all the time. It doesn't do your ego any harm, actually. When you go somewhere, you realise you're actually quite good at something. You didn't even know you were good at it before.
But what are the pitfalls of having experienced and valued members of staff working outside of your school?
There's a balance to be struck there, because what one wants to do is share the very best of the expertise that you have, but you have to ensure that that doesn't undermine the quality of what's being offered to your own children within your own school.
At Foss Way, Mike's time away from the classroom is covered by Alison, a TA from St John's.
Can you remember? 4. Colour you, Kabir. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you ask Gary a question beginning with the word who? Okay.
Twice a week, while Mike's in her class, Alison swaps with him and gains the experience of working in a special school setting.
So going from a class with 32 children, with 2 of them with special needs, and then going to a whole class of 9 children, all with special needs, it's nice that the numbers are smaller and that you can actually deal with them, but then on the whole picture, every one of them has got a need more than, you know, the mainstream school class.
What does it say?
Spending time at Foss Way has improved Alison's ability to identify certain special needs.
Let's pretend. So what does Stacey need to do? She needs to pretend.
Because you can't actually see that there is a special need with them, you were sort of I was thinking, hang on a minute, you know, what's wrong with this one? And then gradually over the few weeks, it's become apparent that they do have their little needs, and I've picked up, I've known their characters and things.
Right, this is
a lot of things have gone on, you know, in my head, and I've got experiences that I may be able to draw upon, you know, if something arises here.
I get to go down there and I get the benefits, the child gets the benefits, the school gets the benefits, but also their LSA comes up here and gets the benefits of seeing how we deal with things. Then we liaise and talk about, you know, what we're doing with that specific child. So it's kind of spreading the knowledge base around across as a bigger, wider group as we can.
But I think one also has to recognise there's a different set of sub-skills in working with colleagues. So you may well have skills with working in the classroom with children with special needs, but you also need those skills, with those interpersonal skills, which are required to work with fellow professionals. So that's something else that we look at in terms of, we have a short induction programme for our staff before they go out and work with colleagues in mainstream schools.
In the past, we have been to schools, or I have personally, where you have to kind of be a bit careful about the teacher, because some teachers get a sense of guilt about they can't cope with the children that are in their class, and it's not a reflection on them. We're not there to deal with those sorts of behaviours. That's why we're coming in. But you have to be a bit diplomatic, I think, so they don't think you're being heavy-handed or whatever. I mean, it's a partnership teamwork thing. We're supposed to be working with them for the child. It's not about who can do what and who can't. So
Everybody here, all staff, are happy to take on ideas from anybody like Mike or other outside agencies because we want the best for the pupil. I haven't yet had a situation where anyone has reacted badly to suggestions.
I'm having peas tea.
Do we think he's happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you like peas?
No.
Oh, that was brilliant then, wasn't it? Okay,
Not
Tom.
much.
Once a week, Conrad, an LSA from Foss Way, goes to St John's to support a group of Key Stage 1 children.
Yeah?
They read stories and play games to improve their anger management and social skills.
In a chat in class, can't we? You go around the board and you have to give compliments to the person on your left. You have to say, I've got peas for tea, and you have to say it in different ways. So you've got to be angry, happy, sad. And we never run it all the way through because I don't want to do a winner. Polo for that.
Foss Way and St John's have a formal agreement stating that Conrad's programme will run for 5 weeks only.
And you think, I'd love to do a couple more weeks, and sometimes it's not always possible to go and do. Luckily at St John's I'm doing a second lot of sessions with them, so I can carry on working on what I've been working on, but some of the schools just take you for the 5 weeks.
Special schools would be well advised not to get involved with no end date, if you like, that the expectation from the mainstream school was they would be there for as long as they wanted them to be, because that isn't the way it's going to work. They have to move on.
And as we clench up our toes, we're going to breathe in.
With so many visitors, how does St John's make sure it all runs smoothly and on time?
Okay.
We're always, I think, quite good at showing people where things are, where they require things, where to go, and would hope that they feel that they are able to be a member of staff whilst they're here. I don't ever think, oh gosh, it's Monday or it's Thursday, I must go and see if Conrad has got his group. It just happens.
We try and encourage the independent skills from the children, really. So the children know what day their TA is coming to work with them and will actually take themselves off to the room at the time that they need to be there. So that stops any delay.
No, that isn't right, Ryan said firmly.
Definitely we would say that the groups of children that Conrad and Mike have been working with have hugely benefited. For the future, I think we would be considering the way that we allocate our budget and how we spend our budget, because there are lots and lots of possibilities coming from Foss Way.
I think the special schools really do want to move on from being locked into working and advising about provision for an individual child, and to use that, if you like, that making that relationship with the mainstream school, and move that on to working with management teams and looking at provision across the whole school. It's about changing everybody in that school, even the dinner ladies and the people on playground duty. And to be honest, that's the only way that really that inclusion is going to be successful, if the whole school is behind it.
Special schools are often quite small, and there's a real risk of the whole environment becoming extremely stale. By your staff going out and working with mainstream schools, it creates an excitement and a challenge which wouldn't otherwise be there. They bring back ideas that we wouldn't otherwise have, and they bring back an energy, because it's an energising experience, that wouldn't otherwise be within the school.
It's a creative way of making the best of a small pot of money and the services that are available. It's being creative. Our creativity alongside their creativity provides us with a much better service for our pupils.